So welcome back, guys, and we are almost at the end of the course. Um, in this video, we are going to learn how to use a Vue library, so an external library that Vue recommends if we want to build single-page application. And our portfolio will surely have more than one page. Therefore, we need a system that understands where to send the user and what to show to the user when, for instance, a link in the navigation bar is clicked for a specific page. For that, Vue offers an official package called for routing called Vue Router, and it will help us to do just that. A single page application is an application that doesn't refresh the page when a new page is visited, so that the user experience is more fluid and nice. So like Vue and Axios, also this new library needs to be installed, and we will use its CDN. But as always, there are also other methods to install a library, a package like that, and it depends by your needs. But to keep things simple for now, we will keep using the CDN and place a script tag inside the HTML file and learn the basics of this new library. So let's visit the official website. So if you visit the router.vuejs.org, this is the official page, and we can click Get Started, and you see that immediately we are on the installation page with a direct link for the CDN, and it also gave us the opportunity to use a specific link for the UNPKG CDN and specify the version of the route. Or we can use, of course, npm or other way to install this inside our project. We will use this link for the CDN and place it inside a script tag in our HTML file. I can start from the where we left off last time, and we in the previous video. So from the Access tutorial, we can grab everything from here and then change the code as we go. So let me first copy all the markup from this page and copy it inside the new index.html file. And now we can just paste this in here, and after that, let me copy everything we got from the main.js file, main.js, inside in this new folder, and we are ready to go. So now what we need to do is, since we already installed the we have to install the library for the routing using the CDN. So we can place the script tag in here, and the source, we can use a link that the documentation gives us. So copy this here, and we all have everything we need. So now let's save and let's have a comment. Vue Router. Okay. So now we can move to the next step, which is actually learn how to use Vue Router. So now that our application has access to the routing system, we can add a couple of routes for our application. And to do that, let's see also the documentation. Of course, if we visit the Getting Started page, we can see that the documentation uses to create these links. It uses two components and another component for the view. So we will use the router link component provided by the library and its two attributes to point to the link to a specific page. And let me do that. And after that, we will use this component, the router view, to show a specific component for each page. And it will do that alone. So Vue Router will know what to show based on what link is clicked by the user. So what we could do now is, for instance, add an header here. So we keep things, as I said, very simple. So we have an header, and we can add this router, the link. Okay, but it's messing up. Okay, so we have this router link, and we need the attribute to and specify where to point this link. So this slash is for the home page. Here we will show some information about us, so for our portfolio, and then we have another route. So we have the router link to projects, and this one will output this projects. So this one will show to the user all the projects. So after that, as we see also in the documentation, we need to use this component that will render for each route the corresponding component. So that means that we will have to do some work on the JavaScript file so that we have different contents for each page. So after that, we can just write just in here, render the component corresponding route. And up here, we can create route links using the router link. Okay, so we have a couple of comments just to remember what's in here. So down here we need to use the component router view, and that's pretty much it for this part. So now we need to refactor our code and take some steps to make, of course, this work. So we also use this view router view component that will render a specific component for each route. Now we need to do some work. So the next step would be define the route components. So this component will render a different component for each route. So we need to define these components. We need to define the route. So for now, these two are just two links that point to nowhere. So we need to define the routes, and we need to create a router instance. And finally, we need to create and mount the Vue root instance, so our main Vue instance. So the first thing is to define our components that will be used for each route to render the content of the page. We'll create two components, one for the home page and one for the project's page. To simplify each step, for now I will keep everything inside the same file, and later on, when we will work on the final project, we will refactor that. And so let's create the first two very basic components, and let's close this file, we don't need it. Let's move inside this main.js file, and up here we can create a component. And every step that I am about to follow is also available on the documentation, of course. So we define the two components. These are the steps. We define the components, we define the routes, we create the route instance, and finally we mount and create and mount the main Vue instance. So let's do that. First step is going to be create the route components. Okay, so we have const, and let's say this component name will be home, and For each component we need always the template, as you know, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. And we have a div, and inside here we just put some placeholder content. My portfolio website. Okay, so this is the first component, and let's create another one. We call it projects. Okay, and again a template property, and again a div and some placeholder content. Okay, so we have the two components. So now we need to follow the remaining steps. So define the routes, create Vue Router instance, and create the main Vue instance. So let's define some routes. Oops. Define. Okay, so to define routes, we can create a constant, and we call it routes, and we assign to it an array of objects. Each object contains route. So path is the first property of this route that will point us to the home page, so the slash, and render the component named home. So that's the first route. And the second route, let's copy this and paste it in here and say the second route is going to be projects. So these are the routes that we created also here. So with the two attributes, we said that this link should point to the projects route and this one to the home route. This route link component will be rendered onto the page as an anchor tag. So the only thing it's going to do is become a link. So by using these routes, by defining this routes array, we define inside each object the path of the route and the component that needs to be rendered for this path. So for this one, it's going to be projects. So we have the components, two very basic components. We have two routes, and the next step is going to be So we need to create the actual router instance. So create the router instance. Okay, so to create the router instance, we did again const define a router, which is equal to a new Vue Router class, and we define an object in here, and the object that we pass, the property that we pass is the actual routes that we define above. Okay, so now we need to create and mount the instance. So create and mount the Vue instance. So to do that, let me quickly comment this out, and we will grab from here what we need when we need it later. So let's create a new variable and say app is gonna be equal to a new Vue class and the object that we pass. Now this object is a bit different from what we used to have before, because in here we need to pass the router, the actual router instance to the Vue instance, so that the Vue instance is aware of these routes, and we simply do that by using it as a property like that. If the key is equal to this is equal to of doing that. Okay, so thanks to ES6 we can do that. And after that we can mount the root element using the mount special property. and say, yeah, okay, so that's going to be equal to that. So let's see if we actually have everything in place. Let's close this Access tutorial and let me open with live server this project here. And let me also comment this out because for now we don't need that. We'll use it later, but for now we comment that out all the access codes, so that's not gonna work. So open with live server. Okay, so we have two links, home and portfolio, my portfolio website. And if we click on the project link, you will see that the content has changed. So my projects here and my portfolio website, and the page never refreshed. So the basic structure for our routing system for our portfolio is done. So if we visit the home page, we will see that we have two navigation links and the site content will change accordingly. So if we put everything together and build our portfolio, we can put everything together now and start building our portfolio and take from this previous example, so the code that I just commented out, we can grab portions of it and recreate what we had before, but this time using the Vue routing system. So from the previous example in the Axios section, we requested from GitHub API all public repositories for a user and rendered the name, user avatar, and project URL. So this bit of code here. And we need to move some of this logic inside our application that uses routes. So the main changes that we need to make are first move the HTML markup inside the template property of the project's component. Next, we need to move the data properties inside the data object of the component. And finally, we need to move the code that we wrote inside the mounted hook, lifecycle hook, inside our component. So let's do that. So the first thing that I mentioned was move this bit of code, since the actual content of the page is rendered by the router view, which takes the content from the template of the component connected to the route. We can update this template content and use the actual code that we wrote before. So this is going to be my the content of my element. Okay, and after that, what we need is data function that, oops, yeah, that's fine, that returns an object, and not like that. That should be it. Okay, so it returns an object, and the object that is returned, we deleted one parenthesis. So this is for data object, and that's for the object that returns. So the data function and the data object. So now we need to grab from the previous instance these properties, and we can copy them in here and save. Next, so the data object is ready to go. Next, we have, let's see, the life cycle hook mounted. We can copy everything we have, and from here to here, and paste it in here. So we have everything we need now, and for this component. Next, we can check if we defined correctly the routes. we define the new instance, we create a new Vue Router instance, and then we mounted everything onto the page. That should be fine. One thing I'm not completely sure if this template is going to work, because it might need a different element. Probably cannot be this view v4 directive cannot be the first on the first element of the template. Let's see if I remember correctly. So let's see if everything works now. So we are on the My Portfolio page. Let's see first if we have any error inside the console. So it seems that we have no errors. Now let's open the Vue instance. We should see the routing system. Now, if you open the Vue Router tab inside the inspector, you see that we have the router link, two router links, and this anonymous component. Let's see if it works. Maybe not. So router and points correctly to the projects, this second link, and the first points to the this root, and then we have the data, and then we have this special property route, which contains some information about the route. So let's click on the projects, and we have 2 errors. So let's see what the problem is. Cannot use v4 on a stateful component root element because it's render multiple elements. Okay. So we can, for now, do that. And let's see if it works. Okay, it seems it works. And the page doesn't even refresh. Okay. Let's clear the errors log and see if we have any more errors. And that seems that we are fine. Okay, so that let's change a little bit this one and say an h1. And in here we can add another h1 just to create a bit of difference. So my portfolio and my projects, and when it makes the API request and we get the response, everything is onto the page. So we have the basic structure now, and we can improve it, and that's going to be my last video. So the next video is going to be the last one, and we will make things better. We will improve what we have now, and we actually will use the design prototype I made using Figma to add some functionalities to our portfolio, all of them make it nicer. So until the next time, remember to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment if you have any question. Stay safe, guys, and bye.